we're almost at the halfway point. There will be plenty of teams that will have played half their schedule after Week 8. Some teams have had byes, so there only will be 7 games in come this weekend. But the season is rocketing along, and the best and the worst teams starting to come into focus with a large gap, Chris, of teams in the middle that could break either way. And we've seen teams. Remember the Patriots 2001? They were 5-5 through 10 games before they found the gas pedal, and the next thing you know, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we don't know if there's going to be that team that emerges, from the middle of the pack right now that kind of surprises us all. I don't know if I see that happening this year. I mean, I do look at teams like the Rams and the Cowboys at 4-3 and still go, they are extremely dangerous. Watch out for them. So I guess that would classify. But I think we have a pretty good picture right now of the teams that we think are real contenders, and especially your top 2 teams. I think that's right now, I'm picking 49ers, Patriots, Super Bowl. That's where we're going. I think it's going to happen.
The team that I look at in the middle of the pack is a team that we had left for dead last year about this time, and they found a way down the stretch, even after Carson Wentz was injured again, to make themselves relevant and crash the party and win when they get there. And I've got ultimate faith in the ability of Doug Peterson's Eagles to win games when their backs are against the wall, and that's the Eagles who are right in the middle of the pack right now. But we're going to it's Power Rankings time heading into Week 8. Let's start with the top of the heap. And as you said, there are 2 teams that have separated. The Patriots at number 1, the 49ers at number 2, unchanged from last week. The Saints at number 3, unchanged from last week. The Packers jump up to number 4 by virtue of the Seahawks losing. They had previously been number 4. Ravens up 2 to number 5 after beating Seattle. Bills holding steady at 6 because you could argue that the Bills should drop after that lackluster performance against Miami. Seahawks down to 7. Vikings up 3 to number 8 after manhandling the Lions. The Chiefs at number 9, unchanged. The Panthers at number 10, unchanged. And Chris, the one that I really wrestled with, dropping the Chiefs out of the top 10 because Patrick Mahomes is injured. But the way I'm looking at it is, look, for now, you've earned your spot.
That's right.
If you lose, then you'll drop.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, they showed at least, some toughness and the ability to handle some tough circumstances as far as last Thursday night and what happened in that Broncos game, and still battled and played well on both sides of the football to dominate the Denver Broncos. The big one, I'm like, all right, so this is where I want to, your gut. You have a great gut, all right? 49ers Saints, if they played each other, how do you see that one kind of shaking out, right? I mean, what's your gut there? Like if they had to play each other this Sunday, how do you think that game goes down?
Well, they are playing each other later this season. And the first
know.
time I hear 49ers Saints, I think of that 2011, that epic playoff game that went back and forth down to the wire. I'd probably give the Saints the edge. I think the Saints right now are more battle-tested than the 49ers. The 49ers, in hindsight, have not played a very strong schedule. That's the one thing with the Patriots and the 49ers. Strength of schedule based on 2018 wins and losses. I always hate, or 2019, I always hate when we look at a schedule and say, oh, this is going to be a tough schedule based upon how all the opponents did last year. I don't care about last year, but I do care about this year.
Yes.
And the strength of schedule based on this year is going to go up for the Patriots and the 49ers moving forward, as evidenced by the fact that the Saints are looming and other tough games for the 49ers are coming. And I think right now, and I've learned the hard way, every time I think the Saints are walking into a buzzsaw, they are the buzzsaw.
Yes.
And we saw it 3 days ago in Chicago. So right now, if they were playing this weekend, I would pick the Saints.
Okay, so why didn't you make them number 2? I had a feeling you were going to say that. That's why I asked the question. So why wouldn't you make them number 2 if you think they would beat the damn 49ers this weekend?
You out-lawyered the lawyer. That's pretty good. Well,
I talked you into a corner, or I didn't do anything. I just let you talk yourself into a corner.
You've just said that you believe the Patriots and the 49ers are the best 2 teams in the NFL. So what are you trying to do here? This is unfair.
I had a feeling that if I asked you about the 49ers and the Saints, you were going to say the Saints would win. I just had a feeling. I know you too well. So I just want to say,
okay, let me answer your question
then. Number 2. You should have the Saints as number 2. Go ahead.
Because power rankings are independent of what would happen between 2 teams if they got on the field at the same time. I'm sure that I have picked teams lower in the power rankings to win when playing a team higher in the power rankings. I did it last week foolishly thinking the Raiders were going to beat the Green Bay Packers. So the power rankings are unrelated. This is not a tool for predicting outcomes. This is a recognition of where teams currently are. And so I can tell you that if they were playing this weekend, next week the Saints would be number 2. How about that?
Okay. Whatever, Mr. Three-Way Tie a few weeks ago in your power rankings. Whatever. All right. So let me get this. I like this. This is fun. I like picking your crap apart here. All right, so now you got the Packers though. I'm cool with them at number 4. I get you there. You put the Ravens in front of the Bills though, huh? That's just want to ask you there. 2-loss Ravens team. They did enough last week to prove to you that they belong there. Okay.
Yeah, because that 4-2 felt a little fraudulent going into this week. But to go to Seattle and do what they did to the Seahawks, when the Bills had to screw around with the Dolphins, it was 14-9 until Fitztragic reemerged. And even though it was a 10-point margin of victory, the Bills were sweating in that game, and I wasn't impressed enough to bump them up a spot because this was about who gets bumped up. And I don't think the Bills I couldn't in good conscience move the Bills from 6 to 5 after what I saw on Sunday.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. I don't think I would have either. So I'm actually shocked that you didn't put the Vikings a little higher. Now, that's one I want to ask you about. Why not the Vikings in front of the Seahawks or the Bills? I mean, they got some quality wins. They're playing really good football right now. I could argue that they've played better quality football maybe than the Seattle Seahawks have the last few weeks.
Well, can I say that I didn't put the Vikings in front of the Seahawks because I think the Seahawks would beat the Vikings right now? That argument's out the window.
Yes, exactly. It's gone. I was waiting for that to happen as well. Yes, it's over.
I had to pick one or the other, and I think the body of work for the Seahawks and the quality of the team for the Seahawks, and look, I just think the Seahawks right now are a hair better.
And Russell Wilson in a big moment more than you do the Vikings. So I get you there. I just wanted to test you.
And if I would have tied them at 7, then you wouldn't let me hear the end of it for the next 3 weeks, which is maybe what I should have done.
Yes, if you come with another tie on these power rankings, I might have to walk off the set, okay? You can't do that. There's no tie in power rankings.
Now you've made it very, very attractive for me to come with another tie.
I'll never leave the set if you make a tie then, finally. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's look at the next 10, because that's when we get into the middle of pack we were talking about earlier, the teams that maybe can find that way out of the weeds and become a serious, deep playoff run type of a team. Colts at 4-2, up 6 spots. I got to give them credit after beating the Texans. The Rams are unchanged at number 12 because, after all, they didn't barely beat the Falcons. They beat a team that is barely a team, is what I meant to say. Cowboys, I had a problem with the Cowboys won big, Chris, but there was nowhere I could put them. I couldn't put them any higher. I wasn't going to put them above the Rams because the Rams won big, and maybe it's just the Eagles aren't all that good, although I didn't drop the Eagles very far. We're getting into a spot here where
we are, yes.
There's a lot of mediocre teams.
Right.
And when there's a lot of mediocre teams, it's hard to justify movement. So I felt bad not giving the Cowboys a bump up. I felt bad not dropping the Eagles more than 1 spot, even though it was a 37-10 outcome. But that's where it ended. Cowboys at 13, Texans at 14, down from 8, Eagles down 1 to 15, Raiders unchanged at 16, even though they lost, Jags up 7 to number 17, the Steelers moved up 1 by not playing to number 18, Lions down 1 from 18 to 19, and the Titans get a 5-spot bump after winning against the Chargers on Sunday there at number 20.
Yeah.
So, but it's really tough to draw lines when you just have this cluster of teams that you really don't believe in, and you got to figure out how they're all going to fit together, and you don't want to be unfair to any of them.
Yep.
But there really isn't anybody that stands out right now.
No, I get it. It is. It's a big cluster, and really the big one to me, and you mentioned it a little bit, was the Eagles. The Eagles, I get what you're saying. I mean, they are the ultimate, backs against the wall type of team, us against the world. But, man, I got questions about the Eagles right now. I don't know. I mean, they got to get healthy first. That's going to be the big issue. And if they don't get healthy soon, the season might be lost before they have a chance to really fight back and back themselves out of a corner. It's just not a good look right now. The defense isn't playing well, and, of course, they're banged up in the secondary. Defensive line not as dominant. There's no big play threat. Who are you scared of on the Philadelphia Eagles on offense right now? The only guy to be scared of is Carson Wentz. I mean, he's is the only legit playmaker they have. It's a lot of work for them to move the ball up and down the field. I'm concerned about them. I don't know where this is going to go. Could very easily see them losing to Buffalo in Buffalo this week.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, they may be a team that digs out of that hole. You said earlier the Cowboys were 3-5 last year and they won the division.
Right.
The Eagles may parlay 3-5 into something. They really need Deshaun Jackson back. He was
Big
so
time.
great week one. But, the one thing that I thought would derail the Eagles this year hasn't happened. Carson Wentz hasn't gotten injured, but all these other injuries around him has made it difficult for this team to be competitive.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.